I know what you're thinking. Aren't we done with Jenn Kamp? I thought so too, about 3 weeks ago when I did my last episode on the subject, John Dehlin versus Jenn Kamp epilogue. But in the meantime, in fact, just this past week, what to my wondering eyes should appear on the internet but another video of Jenn Kamp? Not a new video in the sense that it was just taken, but a new video in that it just surfaced. This video was taken on the 4th of July weekend of 2024. And believe it or not, it captures Jenn Kamp reaching out to Thrive attendees to try and dig up dirt on John Dehlin. Join us tonight on Radio Free Mormon. It should be interesting. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. This is Radio Free Mormon on the air, broadcasting behind enemy lines. Tonight's episode, Jenn Kamp tries to dig up dirt on John Dehlin. Radio Free Mormon, episode 386. Now, once again, as I said in the opening, this video that I have obtained is actually not new. It was taken back on the 4th of July weekend of 2024. It really is more of an audio. I say video because technically it is a video, but really it's operating in the capacity of an audio. It's capturing Jenn Kamp's voice as she is calling these individuals to try and dig up dirt on John Dehlin. It appears that Jenn Kamp, through some means, had figured out the phone number of these individuals. How could she have done that? She doesn't seem to know them personally. She seems to have gotten their phone number from some other source. And I'm guessing that other source might be from, I don't know, the business records of Thrive that she had access to when she was working for John Dehlin. Let's put this all in chronological order before we start, shall we? This is the 4th of July weekend, 2024. That means that prior to this point, Jenn Kamp has already been found to have committed defamation against John Dehlin by Judge Faust. She has also already been ordered by Judge Faust to take down her defamatory videos of John Dehlin and not defame him any further during the pendency of the proceedings. On top of that, she has also met with a bankruptcy attorney in Washington State and is on the cusp of filing for bankruptcy in Washington State. She will do that by the time the 4th of July weekend is over in preparation for the hearing that she has in Utah on the day or two after. I think it's the very day after the 4th of July weekend was over. So she can show up and say, hey, I filed for bankruptcy. You've got no more jurisdiction over me, Judge Faust. I'll see you later. And then she sails off into the bankruptcy court. And we have followed that story. But this is to give you context for when it was that this happened and when it was that Jenn Kamp made this phone call. And it's really amazing because she has already lost the defamation case. She's been found guilty of defamation. She's been told to stop defaming John Dehlin, and yet she's reaching out and continuing to try and solicit information that is defamatory of John Dehlin. It's obvious what she's going for. Wait till you hear this for yourself. So this video came out on February 16th, 2025. Today's date for the record that I'm recording this is February 21st. 2025. Hopefully it'll go up tomorrow on February 22nd, 2025, when this video will be published. But this particular video of Jenn Kamp from the 4th of July weekend, 2024, was first published, to my knowledge, a week ago on February 16th, 2025. It is at the YouTube channel called Post-Mormon Purpose. If you want to look it up yourself, it's called Post-Mormon, one word, Purpose. As of today's date, this video has had only 139 views on this rather smallish channel, and I think this video is important enough that it deserves a much wider audience. Let's watch this video and see what happens, and more importantly, listen to what happens, shall we?
But me and my wife went to a Thrive conference, which, by the way, we couldn't pay for most of it for pretty much anything. We're pretty poor, and they paid the rest. So those who say they're just out trying to make money, I don't think so. It's very professional, amazingly well done.
Can we just stop for a second and observe that the Thrive organization, which is there to try and support people when they're going through the difficulties of faith transitions and provide community for them, which they might be losing from their church at the same time they're exiting, to have a community for them outside the church, to accept them and be there for them upon their exit. Now, a lot of times people have criticized that, mostly Mormons, because they don't like anything being there for people when they leave the church. I think they'd rather they be eaten by sharks once they do their half gainer off the side of the boat. However, Thrive is there, and it opens its doors to lots and lots of people, including people who cannot afford the price of admission. And apparently this guy and his wife apparently were among those who could not afford. And so what they did was they set up at Thrive the ability for people who couldn't make the full price to attend be supplemented by others who could. And I think this is what he's talking about here. So I want to give a big thumbs up for Thrive for making it available to as many needing people as they possibly can. And believe me, there's a lot of needy people out there in this regard. Now, Jenn Kamp did not work for John Dehlin that long. She worked there for less than a year in 2022. Remember, she was fired in early September of 2022. I think she started in February, might have been January of that same year. So less than a year she's working there. My understanding is that prior to her working officially for John Dehlin, she unofficially helped with some Thrive events. So it is possible that this is talking about a time before she officially started working for John Dehlin. Maybe it's while she was working officially for John Dehlin. I don't know. The important point is that this phone call from Jenn Kamp was received by this guy and his wife on the 4th of July weekend of 2024, which means that it had been almost 2 years since Jenn Kamp had been fired from Mormon Stories as of the time she calls these people. So it's been almost 2 years. She's fired in early September of 2022. This phone call occurs 4th of July weekend, 2024. And now she's going to ask them for their recollection about what happened at a certain breakout meeting during this Thrive conference, a certain breakout meeting where apparently John Dehlin was leading the breakout meeting. And apparently Jenn Kamp is trying to find somebody who asked John Dehlin a certain question because Jenn Kamp was there. That's why it has to be during this time period. See, she was present. And she says she's sitting next to this couple, a man and a woman, and the man asks a question and John Dehlin gives some kind of answer, which she found scurrilous and reprehensible. She never says what it was. This guy never remembers what the heck it was because he says nothing weird happened, but she's digging for it. And it's obvious she's digging for it. Listen to this.
But anyway, Jenn Kamp was there. Just thought I'd share a fun little clip of her calling us years later to try and get dirt on John Dehlin or try and insinuate that something weird happened when absolutely nothing did.
No worries.
No problem.
I just have a question for you guys, and I don't want to guide you in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to know, when we were in that little breakout room where John was talking to us,
Mm-hmm.
do you, either you or your husband, do you remember what a question that your husband asked John?
He's with me right now. I don't remember.
I don't think I even asked it, to be honest. I think I was going to ask a question and then someone else had something more important to say and I ended up not even saying it as far as I remember.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now this is weird because at this point, it's like Jenn Kamp is a mind reader. She didn't hear him say the question. He only thought the question, but she knew he asked the question enough to give him a call, right? How did she get this phone number again? Yeah, he did, I think, ask a question. I think here he is leading her on, and I think he will admit that in the comments he makes to the side of his video from time to time. Going on with the recording.
I'm trying to figure out who it was that asked him a question. Like, they asked something to the effect of, like, you know, since leaving the church and being in the post-Mormon space and you being in the role that you're in, like they're asking us to John,
Mm-hmm.
like, what was the hardest part of that? Like, what's been the hardest part for him? And his response was really...
Okay, so Jenn Kamp remembers, apparently verbatim, the question that this guy asked John, or that she thinks he asked John, but she's not going to give the answer that John gave, which is the whole reason she's calling. I think that in her mind, she's trying not to lead the witness but it makes it very confusing. It would be much easier for her to just say, what is it that you say that John said, and see if they agree with it. However, I appreciate the fact that she's not trying to contaminate the memory of the witness by telling them what the answer is. Here on the screen now, on this video screen, it states, to clarify, this is the guy who recorded this, writing this when he posts it. To clarify, I did ask a question along the lines of what she's referring to. Of course, otherwise, how would she know? It just wasn't the one I remember waiting to see if I'd have time to ask. So I guess she is a mind reader. So he has two questions. He did ask a question along the lines of what she's referring to. It just wasn't the one I remember waiting to see if I'd have time to ask. Well, okay. Not exactly sure what that last part means, but it's obvious that the first part is he's copying that he actually did ask the question. That for whatever reason and however she did it, Jenn Kamp actually did get the right name and phone number of the people that she was sitting next to at Thrive years before, and she's calling up to dig up dirt on John. This guy apparently is playing along, though. He did ask the question, but he's telling her he did not. Circles within circles.
Really off-putting. Like it was
Mhm.
a weird answer to what the question that was asked of him.
Uh-huh.
And so, and I remember the person sitting next to me was a guy, and his girlfriend was there,
Mhm.
or fiance. I can't remember who it was.
Mhm.
Fiance, son, like, or maybe newly married. And when he did this kind of weird answer to the question, the guy next to me like grabbed his fiance's hand, kind of like in a protective way.
Oh my gosh. So John apparently gets a question and she remembers the question. She recites the question. The guy's recording it admits in the comments on the video. He says, yeah, I did ask that question. And it's just a nothing question, really, in terms of, what was the hardest part about deconstructing your faith? And then John, according to Jenn, gives this really weird, off-putting answer, so much so that the guy grabs his fiance's hand in a protective manner. I've got to protect the women folk out here because John Dehlin is saying such weird, crazy things in response to this question he gets, I don't know, 1,000,000 times. But this time is different, right? He gives some kind of weird answer. She doesn't say what it is. It's obviously suggestive in nature. And it's a cause for men to protect their women folk in the room. And the guy who posts the video says, I definitely didn't get any weird vibes or anything from his response. I touch my wife's hand and back for rubs all the time. It's called being in love, honey. Okay. So that's his response to that. He did not have any experience where John said anything untoward or weird, and certainly not in such an untoward or weird way that he grabbed his fiance's or his wife's hand in a protective mode, going on with the recording.
A
Mhm.
little bit.
Okay.
Kind of like, and so I'm trying to see if anyone remembers the question, because I remember it, but I don't want to like tell you what it was or what his answer was.
How
I'm
mysterious.
just wondering if you remember any.
I personally don't remember that.
Okay, so the woman doesn't remember anything. They were there. The guy doesn't remember anything. He was there and he actually asked the question, but John Dehlin didn't do anything weird, nothing untoward, nothing inappropriate. And now he puts on the screen, if you follow Jenn Kamp's legal accusations and battle over the past few years at all, you're probably aware of how dishonest and manipulative she is. I've heard. I had heard a little about it, but wasn't sure at the time exactly what was going on and wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, didn't we all? Going on with the recording.
What
I
she
don't,
said.
yeah, I don't either. I remember, I feel
Okay.
like that sounds familiar. It was a long time ago. And I will say in our experience, because he is just a guy, like I don't have, it's not like the LDS church where I see him as a prophet or something. Like I'm sure,
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a great guy or not, but I will say he seemed pretty professional and well-intentioned and stuff from my interactions with him.
Yeah. Okay.
You could almost hear the disappointment in Jen's voice with that answer.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
That answered my question. It is. It must be someone else. But thank
Yeah.
you for taking my call. I really.
And the fellow puts up on his screen on his YouTube video, totally. There couldn't be any alternate conclusion, huh? That's what he writes on his YouTube video.
taking my call. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And then,
Good luck.
yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And good luck to you, and happy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And I
thank
do want to
you.
say, Jen, I'm not like, I don't follow like all the ex-Mormon drama too deeply.
Yeah.
I've heard a little bit about this, so, and I try not to draw conclusions because I don't know you or John. But yeah, I mean, as far as I had heard, well, never mind. You probably don't want to get into it. I was just like,
I'm totally open.
Oh, yeah. Just when you thought this phone call was over, she's totally open to talking about things.
I do have certain things I can't say, but I would love to hear actually your point of view from where
Well,
you.
The things Jen can't say that she's talking about here are defamatory comments against John Dehlin, because Judge Faust has already ordered her as of this point to knock it the hell off.
Love to hear actually your point of view from where
Well,
you sit.
from what I've heard, it seemed like you didn't really want the evidence presented, and that John and Arthur did. And so I was like, well, I don't know. Again, I'm trying not to draw conclusions, but I was just wondering if something serious happened, like probably just present the evidence.
I would love in every way possible, and have fought for the evidence to be shown. So far.
Okay, wait a second. She would love as much as possible. She has fought in every way to get the evidence shown. No, that's exactly 180 degrees opposite of the truth. The truth is that she hid the evidence. She monkeyed with the evidence. She destroyed the evidence. And that is why Judge Faust found her guilty of defamation without even having a trial on the subject, because she had destroyed so much evidence that John Dehlin and OSF could not get a fair trial in front of a jury. That's what had happened as of this point. She wasn't in favor of getting the evidence out there. She was in favor of destroying the evidence so it could never be seen. That was Jenn Kamp's entire strategy and trial tactic in the Utah court. But here she has a different story, and she says, no, she was the champion for the evidence to come forward, not the one who was destroying it right and left. And indeed, this person who posted this video is going to pick up on that and do something rather humorous here in a second.
Or I have not been shown any that from them.
This is something she thought of later in order to get back at John Dehlin and OSF, which is what it looked like it was. Oh, I remember there was one thing in this video that was so amazing. It was Jenn Kamp telling what I consider to be the most bald-faced lie I may have ever seen, at least from an adult. I mean, you see a lot of bald-faced lies from kids, right? This is... Okay, let me pause for a second and make sure you know what this is. This person who posted the video has taken my video for this clip and posted it in their video, and they added something to make it even more humorous than it already is. I think most of you know what's coming. If you don't, you'll be pleasantly, if not uproariously, surprised. This is from an adult. And what happens here? What happens here is that at the meeting 5 days earlier with just Jennifer Kamp and John Dehlin, Jenn Kamp had left the meeting of 45 minutes saying that she had recorded the entire meeting with John Dehlin. She announced that to John Dehlin as she was leaving the studio. There had been nobody else there, but she said she recorded it. So what happens now is that she's making all these representations about how rude and domineering and threatening John Dehlin was at the meeting to her. And that's what she wants to bring to the board's attention, not sexual harassment. It's all about this meeting, right? Well, she says she recorded it. John says that he was concerned because she said that. She never denies it. She admits she recorded it. So Clint now in the lower left-hand corner says, hey, I tell you what, since you've given us this version of what happened at the meeting, which sounds like it might be kind of bad if that's the way it really happened. And by the way, this is me being played at 1.5 speed. You said you have the recording. Would you mind playing the recording so we can verify and confirm your version of events, Jennifer? And this is what happened. And I clipped this out and put it on my TikTok channel.
So, when you first told me about this and said, hey, do you want to listen to this recording? I said, no. Now I'm starting to wonder if maybe Carrie and I should listen to it so that we can have a good feeling of what's going on. Do you think that would be smart?
It's up to you. It was started, I think there's only like 15 minutes of, or 10 minutes, I don't know, somewhere between there, 10 and 15 minutes of, actually, you know what, I deleted it.
I think she deleted it too. I think that when she listened to it and found out that it did not match her story, she said, there's no way I want this to continue to exist because it doesn't help my case any. I think this was a great, great clip for this person to pull and juxtapose with Jenn Kamp claiming on the phone call to them that she has fought hard to have the truth be made known. This clip, where she obviously deleted evidence that would have shown the truth, but she deleted it because why? She didn't want it to continue to exist, as I said just then. John mentioned the security camera, the little bubble up on the ceiling. I'm sure you're familiar with those. You've seen a lot of those. Well, they have when they're in the studio, and that might have captured it. And indeed, they went back and they looked at whatever they had to look at to retrieve it. It was still there. It did capture it. It wasn't like, focused on the two people, but you could hear absolutely everything during the meeting, and you could see them from the top, and you could see part of John's legs and the top of his hat as well. And what they saw was exactly the opposite of what it is that Jenn Kamp claimed happened in the meeting. No, John was not being domineering and threatening to her. She was being that way to John from beginning to end of the meeting. It was astonishing. And it was because of that Open Stories Foundation, through the board, said, we can't have this person working here anymore. She just lied to our faces. And she lied to say that John Dehlin was harassing her in this meeting. And we get, fortunately, after she's deleted the meeting, we get a separate audio. We're lucky enough to find that there's this video through the surveillance system that captured it, even though she deleted it. And when they looked at it, they find out that she was actually the one who was harassing John Dehlin. So they said, we can't have her anymore. And she was fired. And rightfully so, I think. Let's see that special effect again, shall we?
If something serious happened, like probably just present the evidence.
I would love in every way possible and have fought for the evidence to be shown.
Or between our 10 and 15 minutes of, actually, you know what? I deleted it.
Everything in me would like them to show me something that says what I said was wrong. I want that. So far, I haven't been shown that.
Okay.
And what I would say, I guess what I feel comfortable.
Okay, wait a second. Once again, she said, so far I haven't been shown that, but she has already been found guilty of defamation against John Dehlin and the Open Stories Foundation. So apparently somebody saw something.
Saying is that that I guess gosh, I don't know.
Hard to
There's
word,
things I can't
right?
say that I'm like having to like
Hard to
figure
word.
out how to speak without crossing any lines
That makes sense.
that I can't speak about. But there's many things out in the world right now that are not actual documents, not actual video footage. They're created.
Okay, wait a second. Okay. Now, these things that are out in the world, first off, she said that there are things that she can't say, and that's she can't defame John Dehlin anymore. And you can tell it's really bothering her that she can't say it. She's having to walk all around it. However, good for her for obeying the court order. I mean, this is a first for her, and it's baby steps down the street, but good job obeying this court order, at least, Jenn. Now she's going to segue into the second part of the conversation, where she's going to start alleging that documents have been altered by John Dehlin, by OSF as part of the court case. And she's also going to say that video of her has been altered to make her say things that she didn't really say. Nothing says that the video evidence is damning of you more than you're having to come up with a story that somebody must have monkeyed with it in order for it to be so damning. And this guy who is recording it, he doesn't understand what she's saying first because it's kind of out there. He can understand documents being changed, but video, that's a little more high tech. So he'll come back to it and clarify it in a few minutes.
By individuals. And that's,
You feel like there's a lot of
making me
fake
appear
legal
like I'm
documents?
making me appear like I said things that I didn't say. And so eventually I hope it will all eventually be able to be heard.
Yeah, honestly,
But at
again,
this
like if
time-
I don't know for sure, I'm just trying to be honest with you from the outside who hasn't fully followed.
Totally.
That is what it seems like to someone who, how it
Yeah.
appears. But again, I don't know. So if you really
Yeah.
are a victim, then best of luck to you, and I hope everything works out.
Yeah.
Yes, Jenn Kamp, it totally appears that you're a lying sack of crap who's trying to hide evidence all along the way. And it's John Dehlin and OSF who want the evidence to be seen. It appears that way. But actually, in some other alternate reality, maybe it's just the opposite. And maybe the person who's trying to hide the evidence, i.e. you, Jenn Kamp, is actually the person who wants it to be known.
Yeah. And I do feel like in the end it will. Like I really have a peace within me that it's crazy smear campaign right now against me. I totally fully understand that. I grasp it, believe me, more than anyone.
Okay, wait a second. This crazy smear campaign that's being waged against her now, what she means is the truth is coming out. The truth coming out about Jenn is what she calls a smear campaign against her, just to clarify.
And
Are you
I
saying
also
like
have
there's like fake legal documents, or you mean like the podcasts? Because I know that I haven't clicked on all of them, but I know there've been quite a few podcasts about the legal cases. Are you
yeah.
like, is
So
that fake?
I can definitely comment on those, and I can definitely tell you that those are edited, and that some of the videos shown are edited to make me appear to say and to say things and say sentences I never said.
Okay, once again, this is her allegation. I think she's made it before. The guy says, I have no idea what she's talking about. I've never seen any evidence to support this. Well, neither have I. It's because it's not true. It's not true. She's making up a story to cover why it is that in certain videos that she doesn't even specify, and she doesn't say what it is that's been changed. All she does is make this blanket allegation. Things have been changed. Otherwise, I wouldn't look so bad. If everything that was on video reflected what's going on in Jenn Kamp's head, she would look brilliant. I can guarantee you that. Unfortunately, videotape usually videos what really happens as opposed to what you're thinking in your head. And when there's a disconnect between the two, you should go with the videotape, but not Jenn Kamp.
So they've been edited to be so.
Wow.
So that, and that's probably all I.
He now says that was just one quick example of how she operates. I will link RFM's synopsis of the case in the description if you enjoy Jenn Kamp lore. So I think that he was putting my epilogue, my last episode, in the description, and I'll try and do that too. I may not be as technologically savvy as post-Mormon Purpose, but I'll give it a go. If not, I know someone I can call. His name sounds like Bill Reel, and maybe he can do it as well, to put their video in the show notes of my show. So that is really it as far as this particular video goes about Jenn Kamp. Now this individual will talk about things related to his channel and things that are going on personally in his life. But I thought this was important enough to bring to your attention so that you could see what was going on even back on the 4th of July weekend of 2024. Now, I do not think for a second that this is the only phone call that Jenn Kamp made like this. And if you got a phone call like this, heaven help us if you recorded it, please let me know. We'd be glad to put them up, because Jenn Kamp was busy shaking the trees, trying to see if anything bad that John Dehlin ever might have done would fall out, even though as of this point, she's lost the case. And I brought this up with somebody the other day saying, look, she's lost the case. She's been found guilty of defamation. She's actually filing for bankruptcy at the time she's trying to dig up this dirt on John Dehlin in this video. What's going on? She couldn't use it even if she got something. And the response was, to me, yeah, she's never going to give this up. She's going to be doing this for the rest of her life. She'll be trying to get dirt on John Dehlin until the day she dies. And if that's true, that's very sad. I actually hope it's not true. I hope that Jenn Kamp will find some kind of peace, some kind of purpose in her life that doesn't involve trying to destroy somebody else in retaliation for her perceived wrongs. Okay? Try and find something constructive. Hobbies are good. Hobbies are nice. I know you're still with your husband, even though you're divorced on paper. And maybe you guys could go out and do something together. Take in a movie, whatever. Go out to dinner at a nice restaurant. Do something to take your mind off John Dehlin and Radio Free Mormon. It would be healthier that way. I recommend it highly. Now, I'm aware of the fact that some people may want to know what's in that entire video. So I'll have the link. I will call Bill Reel. I'll have him put the link in there. I've given a description of it such at the beginning of the show that you can find it with ease on the internet. I was going to play the whole thing here in the second half of the show without any commentary, but I thought, what fun would that be? You can watch it yourself on your own time. So that's the show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I find it absolutely remarkable that Jenn Kamp is still out there as of the 4th of July weekend of 2024, calling up random people who attended Thrive events years earlier to try to get dirt on John Dehlin. And that's why today's episode is called Jenn Kamp Tries to Dig Up Dirt on John Dehlin. Well, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please leave a comment below what you think of this episode and what you think of this particular tactic of Jenn Kamp's to dig up dirt on John Dehlin. Well, that's about all for tonight. Until next time, this is Radio Free Mormon, signing off the air.